Hello and welcome, everybody, to the Author Time Podcast. I'm your host, Oso. I'm here joined by my co-hosts, Whiskey and Juice from the TMA community.
Hello.
And we have a very, very special guest on this episode, Tona. Before we get into our discussion with Tona and many other things and all things mapping, just wanted to give a brief overview of what we do here for anybody that may be joining us for the first time. This is the Author Time Podcast brought to you by TMA. We do this every 2 weeks on Sunday evenings or afternoons, depending on where you are in the world. We have a new special guest every single episode, and like I said before, we talk about anything and everything related to Trackmania mapping, including news, maps, items, etc. And we also have a little conversation with a very well-known mapper in the community. And today, we have with us somebody that I think needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He is a tech legend. He is a mapper and an Adeo team member. He's behind of a huge number of notable projects, past and present, throughout his time in Trackmania, from the distant past of the game to the present day. He has been representing Trackmania at its core through his competitive play, through his casual play, through his events, through his mapping, and his impact through his work at Adeo. He is the man, the myth, and the magistrate of map review. He is
That's
Tona.
a lot.
Welcome, Tona. How are
That
you
was a
doing,
long
man?
intro.
It's so good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. That's a lot. Nice introduction. I love it, to be honest. maybe a bit too much, but yeah. Thank you.
Never too much, never too much. We're really glad to have you. As you might know, we have a tradition here where we like to start by looking at a few maps that you've made throughout TM 2020 specifically. And we also have a tradition where I like to start us off with an earlier map. So one that you might not have expected me to bring up, but let's start off with taking a look at this map that you made called, it'll pop up here in a moment, I think, on the screen. No, it won't. Where is the name of the map?
Maybe
It's called
Fa-
Faith. It's called Faith. I thought it was going to show up. What can you tell us about this map?
This might be one of my first map. Maybe I did it even before the Trackmania release. At the very first days of Trackmania, I did a lot of mapping. And my dirt maps was WRC special stage, myth special stage maps, and this one is FAF, which is for rally enthusiasts, a very known special stage in Portugal. But yeah, this was the very early maps from me on Trackmania 2020, and I was like a bit discovering these new blocks, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, and this map is quite nice, I guess.
We got a lot of new dirts in 2020, right? Did you map a lot with dirt as well in TM2 and TMNF, or you just, or not really, and you just started with 2020?
I started a bit before. It was in late 2019, beginning of 2020, or where I discovered dirt. To be honest, I was mostly a tech player in Trackmania, Trackmania Stadium, but I discovered dirt a bit late. When I came back on Trackmania, it was like, I guess, in late 2018 and or early 2019, and there was people who were interested in mixed style, and this was something I found really nice, and I began to play dirt really late, but I did a bit of mapping on dirt on Trackmania 2 Stadium, but really not much.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's great to see. I think a lot of people gravitated towards these new blocks when the game first came out, and I think it's no surprise that you, as somebody who's a long-term Trackmania mapper, was eager to figure out how they worked and the types of things you could do. So it's great to see a map like this. And yeah, a lot of you may not have played this map. It's, like I said, very early in the days of 2020. So if you haven't already, go check it out. It's called Faith, F-A-F-E. There it is on screen. The next map I wanted to pull up here, it's kind of middle of the range in terms of your 2020 career. This was CTD Red Alert. What can you tell us about this map?
This was a contest made by Virtual and Magi, maybe. I don't remember well, but the idea was there was a base map with some checkpoints, and the idea was to connect the dots. This is a CTD, and we just needed to build a map and just connect the checkpoints and the finish. And I tried to go with something I'm not used to build, is transitional maps. But I wanted to try something different. I spent quite a lot of time on it. This is a map I'm pretty proud of, and it's quite fun, but also really hard to master, because this is really hard. There are hard transitions, and you need to drive like really quick, really clean everywhere to be able to reach the finish line.
I remember seeing the maps from this contest, and I think a lot of the maps were naturally pretty hard because of you need to connect the dots, right? I think even the winning map was made by Adralanter, and it was also insanely difficult just because connecting the dots isn't that easy, so you naturally get maybe a bit harder transitions. And I can definitely see that in this map. I remember seeing this map from you. It was cool to see that you participated, for sure.
Yeah, this was a theme I found really fun, and I just wanted to do it because I like this kind of contest. I did different MTC as well, and when I have some ideas around the theme, this is always something fun I like to do. And I remember, I guess this map was I was out in semi-final. It was against Chroma's map, and the vote was that close, like it was a 50-50, and Virtual must redo a vote, and Chroma won at the second round. But it was really fun.
Yeah, this is super cool map, and I think something that you could say about a lot of the winners. Like I said, this one made it to the semi-final, but most of the great aspects of this map and that the winners shared is that they felt very natural. Like, not only were you making it hyper transitional using just about not only every surface in the game, but every style. You even got some pipes in there. You've got pretty much everything, but at the same time, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like a map where you were trying to force different connected pieces to work. It feels like it works as a complete map, because I think it's very easy to make a map where you're trying to connect the dots feel very forced. And I think if somebody watching this map, they would probably have no idea that that's what you were trying to do, because it's so cohesive in that way. So really impressive stuff. If you want to check out this map or any of the other maps from that contest, go check it out. CTD Red Alert. And then the last map, a more recent map that I picked here, was the Christmas Calendar Project from this most recent iteration of the Christmas Calendar Project, number 18, Christmas with Friends. What can you tell us about this map?
I love this one for different reasons. First of all, because this is my very first map where I took a 3D object and I applied it in Trackmania. So this snowball was a 3D object I found, and I reworked it a bit. So it was a good experience. Second of all, because this is my very first duo map with Superal, with a close friend of mine, but we never did a duo map, which was like, really? We didn't did any duo map together. So yeah, we just we were very happy to do it, and it also was my very first submission to the CCP.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
every year I was like, oh no, I forgot to apply. And this year, well, like I will apply now, or I will forget. So I did that, and Superwell forget to do it, and I asked Kisla if it was possible to add Superwell with me, and he was okay with that. So it was a good good memories. This building.
Nice. I
I
think
remember wanting to play this map along with a lot of other great CCP maps, but not really getting to it because I was swamped with making all 30 of the videos for
Oh,
that
you're
map.
right. You were making colors, and that was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was making renders day in, day out. So I didn't really get to try many of them in the end, sadly. But this definitely does look cool. And yeah, I've seen it a million times because of the editing.
it's almost as if sometimes we end up working on so much stuff for Trackmania that we forget to actually play the game. That seems to happen quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, super cool map, super clean, just amazing execution, and yeah, I'm so glad to see that you guys were able to collab on this for the first time and have your first CCP. Is it fair to say that we'll see more of you in CCP in the future?
I hope so. I hope so. If I find time to do it, and if I'm selected, yeah, of course. This is a project I love. This is really cool to see new maps every year. And yeah, of course, if I have the opportunity this year again to do it, I will, of course.
Awesome. Well, great to hear that. So, yeah, it's a really cool map from you, and just really great to see pretty much all the stuff you've been putting out in TM 2020. But that is not when you started. It's you have been mapping for over 13 years. You put out your first map in late 2009, and have been going strong ever since then. Not a lot of people have seen all of those maps, but a lot of people have, and I'd say one of the most recognizable things you have done was within the older games. So, I mean, as for anybody who doesn't know Tona, he is kind of somebody that has, I think many would say, has been at the forefront of tech playing and mapping in previous games, and even a staple contender in certain tech competitions, and creator of a lot of different incredible tech maps. And one of your more recognizable pieces of work was the TonaTech series, which spanned over 4 years and 58 maps. Apparently you also had gone back and kind of reworked and revamped some of those maps as well, a good amount of those. Is that correct? I think that's...
Yeah, it was because I guess the first one were built before the Mania Planet 4 release, and I needed to re-upload them on Mania Exchange. So maybe there is something, but I don't think I rebuilt some of them. Maybe one or two because they were cut or something like that. But yeah. I don't remember well when I started to build these tracks, but this was during my tech career. I guess it was like in 2019, 15,
Yeah,
maybe 14. The first one.
The first one was in March 2015, I think.
Okay, 15. Yeah. So yeah, it was 15. I left the only years I didn't play Trackmania a lot was late 2016 to early 2018, I guess. So I wasn't really close to the game, but I followed what happening, but I wasn't playing a lot. And yeah, this was these tracks was like 30-second map, all tracks. The idea was to do a track you can go under the 30-second barrier if you're good. I guess only one wasn't break this 30-second barrier. But yeah, it was some cool things. I did these tracks. It was like, for me, it was like experimental tracks, doing some weird things sometimes, to know what can work or not for competition tracks. So yeah, it was like a laboratory for me.
That's really cool to hear. And I think that probably rings true for a lot of people in terms of shorter maps being used as experiments for figuring out what works in other maps. Do you think, I mean, I think it's safe to say, but how would you, that you've improved as a mapper through the making of these maps, as it was a huge series and you probably found out a lot about your style and what you were capable of and things that you maybe didn't even expect. The other question I would have for you then is, do you feel like your approach to making these maps changed over time, or your general like feelings about the series in terms of that 4-year period when you were working on this?
The ones you are looking for at the moment are the first 10 maps. So there isn't anything like crazy. But yeah, I tried different things like slower tech, a bit faster turns, extra. But I guess from map 20 or 30, this was the beginning of custom blocks. So this is where I really tried things with custom blocks, and maybe you will show it, but there is a map which was one of the first ESL tracks with custom blocks, which was I just forgot the name, but yeah, it was Baguette Power, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it was one of the first ESL tracks with this is the only one, this track where the 30-second barrier wasn't broke. It was like 30-001, and I remember Beef and Ive was like hunting these tracks so much between tech competitions.
Wow.
Beef and Ive
Zero,
was
0-1.
yeah. Beef and Ive were really good tech players playing for Lioncast. Sadly, not playing Trackmania anymore, but yeah, they were really good, and they love hunting those tracks during tech breaks.
I noticed
Competition breaks.
the title of the video is called "Beef on TonaTech Maps." Is
Yeah.
this a wordplay, or is it just really the player beef? Because it could also
Yeah,
be
It is the player.
like a fight, you know?
Yeah, it's the player Beef.
It
Beef
is-
wanted
Alright.
to have the world record on all TonaTechs.
Did he get
This
them
was
all?
his goal. I guess he had. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the name checks out if it's just you know the
Just the
hunting
beef,
competition, the
yeah.
fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's him squashing his beef by squashing all the other competition.
All right, also.
So, I mean, 58 maps, like you said, you kind of went through different periods and things you were experimenting throughout all these maps. And some were faster, some were slower, some were more experimental. What would do you have a single map or maps that stand out in this series? If somebody that hadn't played any of them, that you would want them to check out, that's like your favorite.
I don't remember them
Okay.
at all.
Okay, that's fair. That's
really. Yeah, I don't remember them at all. An idea I had, but I never did it. I began to do it, but it was like an unfinished project, and I have so many unfinished projects. But I wanted to do every 10 TonaTech maps. I wanted to do like a map with all 10 tracks,
Right.
but just connect them with macro blocks. But yeah, just never did it. But I guess the track should be finished, but never validated it and never published it. It's typical Tona.
Yeah, that's very untypical of most mappers. I think all of us finish every single project we start, right? right, guys?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I definitely don't have a backup of like 20 to 30
100
unfinished
maps.
maps.
Yeah, I definitely don't
Definitely
have a
not.
folder in my maps folder called inactive work in progresses that's like 40 items.
Oh, I don't even name them. I just smash my keyboard and then just forget about them.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I don't have a folder. Just sometimes say, "Whoa, I built this. Yeah, I built it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
True.
finding some money in your pocket that you left. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I did
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
That's so great. I mean, this series is super cool. If anybody wants to check this out, older new players, go check it out. TonaTech series, available on on Tona's TMX page.
Yeah.
So you were, part of the Trackmania and just tech community in general, and mapping community and playing community for a really long time. You've been exposed to lots of other incredible mappers and players that have had a huge impact on you, I'm sure. I know one of those players that I can personally, at least, that comes to mind is Omnipots, who's somebody that you even went as far as to create a tribute video for. I just kind of wanted to ask you in general, through your career, throughout your entire career, who've been exposed to, who has been somebody that has been like the most influential, or maybe a couple people that have been the most influential to you in terms of your mapping?
That's a tricky question. Not tricky, but interesting. I would say the very first guy where I was amazed by all this map was TM Jonas on Desert. So for people who don't know, I was mostly a Trackmania United player back in the days. This was like the Trackmania I loved, and I played Stadium then a lot because for the competitive aspect. But yeah, I loved every single Trackmania United environment. So TM Jonas was mostly a desert mapper, and I remember some maps which was like amazing. Another mapper who didn't build a lot of maps, but every single map was a pure banger was XVX, a French player. My very favorite map of all time was UL7 Montgomery, an island map. This is really my favorite map ever. I hunted it like for I don't know, dozen of hours hunting for the world record I finally had, and was beaten some years ago, and just can't go back there because the time is so perfect by Sander, so I can't beat him. That's true. But yeah, TM Jonas XVX for the early days. Maybe Caimon as well, at the very early days. Another track I loved was UL7. It was a coast map. I loved this one. I forgot the name, sorry. But on Stadium, I think the first really the tech maps I love was from Nevermind. I love this style. Very simple, but every corner was so flowy, so smooth, so well calculated, and it was so fun to play. It was at a time where there was many Rammstein bug, so it was so well calculated that it wasn't an issue at all. I love this map really. Then I would say Deska. For me is very it's really a great inspiration. Sometimes it can go quite crazy, but it's always very well calculated, and it can be sometimes experimental, and this is something I like. But you also have also has a slow style which I love a lot. I prefer slow maps than fast ones. So yeah, Deska is a good pick in our days, I guess. Um, some guys I love to see mapping. One of them is here. This is Whiskey, and also I will say Vixa. Nowadays, some transition are really crazy and so smooth, and this is a pure pleasure to just see that.
That's a good compliment. Thanks so much. Unexpected, man.
Good compliment and a great list. That's a lot of great mappers that you're calling out there.
And I forgot many names,
yeah.
but
Oh, for sure.
I can't say all. But yeah, this was maybe my main inspirations through the years.
Yeah,
I've actually got a follow-up question on that. Do you have maybe a favorite map of all time? I get it. It's gonna be really hard to pick, but
this is UL7 Montgomery on Island, for sure.
Oh right, yeah.
This is one. This is the one.
Stadium environment only. What would you say is your very favorite?
It's hard to say.
Right.
This is very hard to say. I can't say it now, but maybe I can answer
maybe
a bit later.
Fair enough.
But I will think to it now.
Well, yeah, you've been probably playing an absolutely huge amount of maps over your time playing, and you've also been making a lot of maps, and like the map series, like the TonaTech maps, a lot of, like you said, a lot of short maps. All but one was under 30 seconds, or at least confirmed by humans to be under 30 seconds. But you've also made a handful of longer maps. You definitely kind of, it seems to me, at least for a lot of people, that endurance maps hold a place in your heart. You've worked on lots of longer maps in your career, such as Solstice, Le Risque is Back, and Last Rams, and we talked about Solstice a little bit in episode 2 with Ellipse and Nightwolf. If anybody wants to hear a bit more about that, you check out that episode. But I'm also aware that you have a project underway that may eclipse pretty much every single
unfinished folder,
every other endurance map that you've worked on in the past. Is that something you'd want to give us a little sneak peek of today?
Yeah, I guess it's the right moment to talk about that. Indeed, you mentioned the TonaTech maps, which was like shorter maps, but what you could see a bit is a very long map. I began to build it at the very first days of Trackmania 2020. Maybe not the first days, but it was in the summer 2020. And my goal was to do a long map inside of the stadium. And after 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I was like, okay, I have a goal. Now it's to do a 1 hour long map. This 1 hour long map is maybe finished for maybe a year, but I never validated it. I want to do an event on it. The track was tested by some guys. Nightwolf tested it. I wanted to do an event on it, and I was a lot to I talk with Bren, who was we need to do something around it, and it could be so fun. So the idea is to have a long map, a 1 hour long map, which is kinda easy to finish. Maybe the hardest part of the building was to do a very clear map where it's just impossible to be lost. Mm-hmm. So there is not many, but a few jumps. So this is quite not flat, but not many transition, no much jumps. But I wanted to play with all surfaces. So there is wood, there is dirt, grass, ice, plastic. So for example, the first, I guess, 12-13 minutes there is no plastic at all, because at this time plastic wasn't a thing in Trackmania. But when I restarted it, I added some plastic, and here you can see a water road part, which is maybe here for maybe the last 10 minutes only, because I finished it really, just after this release of the water. And for example, there is no show block at all, so no foggers, nothing like that, because it just was built before that. But yeah, the track is finished. I need to find maybe some testers to be sure everything is okay. I need to change some things. But yeah, the track is ready, and I just want to do an event on it. Need to find a bit of time to organize that, but this is definitely something I want to do in the near future.
Yeah, this map is absolutely insane.
It looks impressive. It's crazy.
It looks very crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and as somebody that had early access to this, I did actually play through the entire map myself.
Oh,
as
really?
well.
You played the whole hour? Wow.
I did,
Hey.
and I made some notes of it, and I know this sounds a lot like some of the stuff Tona said, but you can take this as me kind of giving my thumbs of approval on these things, because this was entirely separate notes I made. First of all, my discovery time was about 1 hour and 6 minutes. It was, and the fun thing that stood out to me, which was as pretty remarkable, was pretty much zero, maybe a couple repeated turns. The fact that you have an hour of like mostly gear 3, gear 4, gear 5 driving without repeated turns is pretty remarkable, that you were able to come up with all those different combinations and not kind of just have mental repeats going on there throughout the process.
You gotta keep in mind, by the way, that if you leave alone this project for a while and you come back to it after like a few months, that you even then don't build a turn twice.
Exactly.
Like you could have forgot it in the meantime, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that there wasn't a lot of that happening is like remarkable. It's really cool to see that. The other thing that I pointed out is that, like you mentioned, everything is incredibly readable. Despite having 400 different pieces of road on your screen at any given moment, it is always incredibly clear where to go. And that kind of speaks to how my discovery time was maybe only like 5 minutes shy of what a real run would be. It's very straightforward. You always know where to go. Even if you don't hit it perfectly the first time, it's always clear where to go. You're not really having to find your way, and it's very approachable. Also, like you said, maybe 1 or 2 speed checks, and even then they're like soft speed checks. They're not something where you're going to fly off the map and just die if you don't have the right speed type of thing. And I will say, you will have many opportunities to practice your Neo slides. That's for any non-tech players or tech players. If you're wanting to practice your Neo slides, this map will give you the opportunity to. I will tell you that now. Also, your ice gears, gear management. There's plenty of that too. So this is a really
The
cool
ice, to be honest, the first ice parts are terrible. They are ugly as fuck. I just wasn't used to build some ice, but I wanted to put it. But the first, in the first 30 minutes, there might be like 3-4 ice parts that are bad. Let's say it. But at the end, it's a bit better. But it was a huge challenge, because I quickly, when I in my mind, when I said, okay, I want to do a 1 hour long map, I just can't do a lot of speed tech parts, because of course the faster you are, much space it will take.
Yeah.
So the map is like average speed is like, it's gear 3-4, not a lot of gear 5. I wanted to put some full speed, but it's just impossible. You have like maybe one wall ride or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's
Say,
one
okay.
like one wall ride and then like a couple loops, I think.
Yeah, but really not a lot. Just because I didn't have the space to do it. But it was a challenge. I just wanted to do it. It was a challenge. I like to build maps with a challenge. And this was my own challenge to do 1 hour long map in the stadium. It's possible. Yeah.
Do you think, so you're somebody, like you said, you've made many endurance maps before, whether that was for like MTCs, like the last Rams or Solstice, or with just other projects in the past. Do you feel that endurance maps are kind of underrepresented or underappreciated in the Trackmania community?
It's something. I understand there isn't a lot of endurance map because this is something you need to have a lot of motivation to build. And I guess most of us mappers, we just have an idea of a map, we do it, and then we have another idea, and if we didn't finish it, we just go to another map, and we just don't finish our first track. But yeah, if you want to do that, it's of course very time consuming, and you need to keep a lot of motivation to do it. And yeah, this is also something very hard to build, because if you want to do like a 20 minutes map, I don't know, but it's really hard to know where you are going to go at the very early stage. So yeah, this is something hard to build, and just keep motivation to do it. And sometimes when you are mapping it, you just say, okay, it's hard to find what I will do, and yeah, the hardest challenge is indeed to do a map which isn't boring, and to don't have several times the same corner, the same difficulties to face. And this is something very different to build than anything else. And yeah, this I would love to see more endurance map, but recently we saw quite recently the Ville maps. I don't remember the name, but which was amazing. 20 minutes map. There was a tournament hosted by Ville and Virtual, and it was so fun to see the very best players playing on the Earth map. And yeah, this is always something appreciated by some players, and I would love to see more of them, of course.
Are we going to see more endurance in ToTD?
The issue is, so we did Solstice. The issue is, for Cup of the Day, this is something hard, because doing a 3 minutes long map, meaning you have a very, very long Cup of the Day. And
on Solstice it was like 2 hours, right?
Yeah, something like that, and it was way too much. But this is something I had a talk with, like a casual talk with Derek once, and I said to him, I was talking to this project, so it was a long time ago, and it was like, oh, it could be fun to have a long TOTD extra, and I was like, okay, I'm on it. And I contacted Ellipse and Nightwolf to do it, and the idea was to do it for the longest day of the year, so Solstice, and we did like a 3 minutes and a half, I guess, a longer map, which was multi-style, and yeah, it was fun. But of course, for casual player, like it's really a pain to have so much long Cup of the Day. If you want to do it, you have to to put 2-3 hours to be ready on it. But
you have to be ready
too much
for such map. Yeah.
But yeah, we maybe in the future we can see some longer map, like 2 minutes or so. But yeah, it will not be something something usual. It will be like an extraordinary track of the day, and it's possible. Yeah.
I think it definitely would be cool to see more endurance in track of the day, and just different variants of stuff within track of the day and cup of the day. But I think for the reasons you said, especially with endurance, there are limitations. But I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that are mapping for track of the day, and I mean that might even make them less likely to make an endurance map or find its way into track of the day just because of the limitations you said. But at the end of the day, track of the day is the single biggest platform a map can have that's accessible to all mappers. Thousands and thousands of players, lots of prestige, and kind of its own. You kind of get your own little place in the Trackmania history books, as it were, when you get track of the day, because it kind of remains there for the years to come in the ToTD catalog. So just kind of, I wanted to ask you in regards to those limitations that do exist. You mentioned back in February that it was kind of brought up in discussions that indicate we might be seeing some more of an official guide for what type of criteria might be going into a track of the day selection. So I just kind of wanted to ask you what your current thoughts were about that and what we might be able to expect in terms of an official TOTD criteria guide in the future.
Yeah, this is something I will write in the future, I guess. Maybe you saw it, but we launched the documentation on Trackmania.com. So it was already there, but pretty inactive. So this is something I worked on, and well, I worked not really worked on, but I was managing the project with. This is the Evo community who took care of it, and yeah, this was something I wanted to put in place on Trackmania.com because there are so many tools, so many things to know about Trackmania, and I guess it would be nice to have a place where you can find every possible information. And this to come back to the TOTD guide, this is something which will be in the documentation website as soon as I have a bit of time to write it. But yeah, I guess it will be interesting to write it to be sure that to understand what's possible or what's impossible to do in TOTD. Of course, as you said, at the moment, TOTD is really the place for a track builder to, when you have a TOTD, like it's something you can be proud of, and I totally understand that. If you don't have a track in TOTD, it doesn't mean you are not a good track builder. Of course not, but TOTD are a bit easier now than in the past because these TOTDs are, they are played by the hardcore community, of course, but these tracks are also and mostly played by casual players. So these tracks must be not easy, but they need to be accessible. You just need to be able to understand where to go, to have fun. Difficulty is okay, of course, but you just have to don't be lost. For example, if just after CP1 you have a speed check, if you hit a wall, you just can't go through. It's not something fun for casual player. So yeah, we try to find a good balance to make everyone happy, which is like impossible, of course. But at the moment, what we want to do is to provide really a lot of diversity in the different styles. So don't have 3 dirt maps in a row, for example. And don't have 3, 4 hard map in a row or easy maps, but doing some easy hard maps to make everyone happy as much as we can. This is really the goal, and Of course, I totally understand, and I'm totally open to any possible feedbacks. And this is always good to hear, to read, because this is not, we don't have the absolutely right answer to everything. Of course not, and players' feedback, hardcore player feedback is a thing, and it's also nice to have some casual players feedback, and this is why also we try to spend time on Reddit, on YouTube, to see what people are saying about different TOTDs extra, because all four, for example, are very hardcore players, and we have a mentality of hardcore players. But when you are a hardcore player, it's also hard to think like a casual player, like someone who play Trackmania once a month and who say, okay, tonight I will do a TOTD, we'll play a cup of the day, and if the track isn't uh, fun to play for these guys, then we will lose player in the long term. So yeah, we need to find the right balance between everyone needs.
Right. Yeah, I think finding that balance is definitely difficult, and I think it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people how that is adjusted over time, especially going into anticipation of having even more newer players coming to the game with just other promotions and things like the console release. You mentioned having a lot of feedback and how it's helpful, and that's great to hear. I know you've probably heard heaps of opinions about track of the day and the map review process, and just an exhaustive amount of feedback from the general community. I just kind of wanted to ask you, just because you've seen map review and track of the day undergo so many different changes from your time at the helm, so to speak. In its current state, what would you say are the strongest or best aspects of the map review process as it currently stands?
It's really hard to. It's of course non-perfect process, because yeah, I can't deny it. It's really hard. 3 minutes to judge a map isn't enough to judge a map well. There is flows. There are flows, of course, but yeah, what we want to do is to allow people, everyone who want to share their track, to do it, and everyone who want to test tracks to do it. There are things to improve, of course. There are many things. I guess it will be nice to spend time on it. We we want to hear everyone's feedbacks, and I hear that for people it's not that fun to push a track different times a week to be sure the track will be tested extra. We will improve the process, of course. This is something I really want to do, and there was some improvement. For example, we added recently, a bit earlier, we added the first feedbacks, like it was just tags. So to say to people, okay, your track was tested. There is an issue, for example, a cut, for example, a speed check, for example, something too hard, or whatever. Recently, we added to be a bit more specific, possibility for Nadio to send a more detailed feedback, so just a text and images. So only Nadio staff is able to open a discussion with the map builder. But yeah, this is just to go a bit further in this idea to do feedbacks. So, for example, what I said to devs was, okay, I can say to mappers, okay, there is a cut, but it just was impossible to say them it's here. Or when I was putting a shadow issue review was like, what's the issue? It wasn't really well understood, and now it's easier for us to just send pictures of, for example, items which have shadow bugged, and say it could be more pretty. So if you can fix it, go ahead. If not, it's not an issue, but it's an issue. But yeah, for the next time, try to be careful about that. So I'm talking about a lot, but yeah, I would say the strongest point of this is to have an easy tool for everyone, and especially casual mappers too, to have a chance to have their maps reviewed by everyone. So other casual players, but also mapping experts. And the main issues are, 3 minutes is too hard for people who really want to give detailed feedback. We need to think what we can improve, and we have some ideas, and some other ideas are always welcome. So if you have anything you want to share with us, you can contact me on Discord anytime, and any feedback will be a real pleasure. Really.
I got one question about the chat function, since that's new. How have you experienced that so far?
So at the moment, it's nice, because one of my main issues also was, if I had an issue with, for example, a wonderful track, which really deserves to be track of the day, but there is a cut or something, an easy fix which can make the track very good TOTD, but in this current state, this is just impossible because the track will be broken. So for me, the previous thing was to just send a direct message on Discord, for example, to the map builder, but something I wanted to this is something I want to avoid in the future, because as you might know, I was, and I'm still the only one who was the final word on track of the day and on the final pick, but it's not said that in 6 months, 6 years, or I don't know. I hope to don't be the only one, and I wanted to have a tool directly on Trackmania.com, which will allow more communication between Nadeo members and Track Builder to improve the tracks which need just a fix.
Yeah, that's great, actually. Also, since you mentioned you are right now the only person who works on Track of the Day reviewing and stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
So, and you kind of hinted you want more people to work on this with you. You've considered this?
This is definitely something I want to push. This is something I already pushed, but at the moment, with the console release, which is coming soon, we have like devs have many other priorities. So this is why also the map review didn't evolved a lot in the past month, but this is something which is, in my opinion, not good to have only one person on it. In my opinion, just there is only one good reason, which is just not okay. There are plenty of tracks which are sent every day, and as I'm alone, I just can't test like 100 track, 100 track a week. Just impossible. So yeah, I want to find something to make these reviews like easier. And when someone send a map which is good, it will be reviewed. Well, there will be higher chances
Right.
to be reviewed than today, because of course this is way too low in my opinion, and I guess for every track builder opinion. But yeah, for that we need to to do tools to think how we will do that. And yeah, at the moment it's quite hard to do that. But yeah, this is something I've in mind, of course, and this will be something I will push, of course, in the future.
Sounds
That's
good.
it's really great to hear all that, and I think a lot of people support those endeavors in many ways and for many reasons. Something you kind of touched on there was that there you are the single person right now, although you're hoping that this can change at some point to get more people to be able to go through these things. But right now you are the only person that is going through these things, and there are just so many maps coming through. And something that's kind of become apparent for a lot of mappers is that kind of in the earlier days of map review, there was a much bigger margin in terms of the type of ratings that you could kind of get away with in order to have a map land on your desk, so to speak, and have it just be reviewed or considered. And nowadays, from a lot of mappers' experience, it's kind of indicated that that threshold for ratings is much higher, and that maps kind of need to have a lot better luck and not getting 1 stars and getting a higher rating to be even considered. And I was just wondering, is that something like, can you speak to that dynamic at all? And have you kind of seen that same thing in terms of just there being more maps and therefore that threshold has increased? Or do you have a different experience with that?
Of course, there are many great map which are untested. Because I just see it, yeah. Every week I test tracks every week, um, and yeah, there are many tracks with 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5 rating. But yeah, there is there is an algorithm. I don't know how it works exactly, and I don't want to know. And yeah, I know quite, but I won't share the exact formula, of course. But this is not really luck, of course. But yeah, some great maps aren't tested, and it's a shame. This is a shame, that's sure. And yeah, I just want to find a solution to make more map tested. Um, it's a bit more complicated than what we can think. This is just not. This is not just like, okay, but we can just recruit 3, 4, 5 guys
Of course.
to do that,
Yeah.
because there there is a need of logic between everything. This is, of course, as I said a bit earlier, we need to think also to casual players, and this is something like an hardcore player will not really think in the first time. So we need just to find the good way to make a better system for everyone, which allow track builders to have less frustration when they send their track to the map review. I don't want them to say, okay, my track is okay, but I have like one chance on 20 or and 50 to be tested. This is for me something which isn't good. Really, I say it. I just want to these great tracks to be more reviewed, and have, if we can find a way to do that quite easily, we will do, of course. But yeah, we need to see what development it needs. If it, yeah, of course, it needs some people, but at what cost? And yeah, there are many things to think about. So this is not an easy answer to give.
I just have one more follow-up question. We are going to have to bring this question and answer section to close here in order to have time for our other segments. But I have one more follow-up question in relation to that. Is that, do you find yourself running into maps that you are reviewing that are clearly not either intended or fall way outside of the criteria on a technical level in terms of their length or in terms of just the overall quality or the preparedness of the map? Do you find those maps finding their way to your desk and kind of taking up your time in that way?
I don't really understand what you
like. Maybe somebody submits a 3-minute long map, or
Okay.
they submit a map that is just a route that they're just testing. Do those maps
Trial map.
Yeah, fine. Do those types of maps find their way, like through to the review process and getting reviewed? Is that something that happens a lot, would you say?
Most of the top-rated tracks are like TOTD tracks, I want to say,
Okay.
like between 30 and 1 minute 10. But yeah, sometimes we have top-rated tracks which are a bit different, and this is always good to have different tracks. Something I really want to keep in track of the days, and this is not always easy to do it, is to have a real diversity. Every week, the top rated tracks, in the top 20 top rated tracks, I always have many dirt tracks. So many dirt tracks are just not track of the day, because I can't put dirt track every single day, or one day dirt track, one day another track, one day dirt track, etc. I want
Watch out what
to
you're
keep.
saying, because people might start never making dirt again after you said this.
No,
You might have a dirt shortage.
no, of course, because no. Keep doing dirt tracks. Yes, there are many interesting dirt tracks. But yeah, if you want to build to have a dirt track in TOTD, yeah, there is more competition than other styles. That's sure, because dirt track are really much appreciated. Like for maybe a year, this is the top style track represented in the review.
Right.
Yeah.
And with this, you said you wanted to keep like the diversity, so you wouldn't separate casual map review from track of the day review server, for example. So, like, I notice a lot of people that just made their first short map or something, like, right? They made a 15-second map and they're really proud of it, and they want people to drive it and give their opinion on it. But of course, something like this takes up people's time who want to actually get their track of the day map reviewed. Do you think separating a casual map review from a track of the day map review would be a good thing?
I understand what you say, and I think it will be, of course, really nice. But we have a main issue, which is the player amount. We already don't have many players on the map review. Like some at the top hours, yeah, there are players, but there isn't always players in the map review server. So if you do another map review, it means you will have even less players. And are you sure that players will go on different?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
will they go on on the unfinished or I don't know, like short tracks, etc.
Yeah, right.
You're not
They might
sure.
still
We
go
don't have
to
the
the
guarantee.
Right.
yeah, they might still go to the busier servers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
This is a risk, and maybe this is something we might do in the future. If I hope we will have many new players. If this is something which is happening, yeah, of course, this is something we might consider. But at the moment, this is just impossible because we just don't have enough map testers, I would say.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Makes all sense.
I do have one question though as well about like separation or not separation. But yeah, so my question is, what's your opinion on the fact that for track of the day and for the cup of the day, at the moment we use the same track, but in fact these two types of like of the day is completely different, right? For the cups you need more casual tracks, and but for time attacking for track of the day you potentially could have like more complex tracks. And like, what do you think about it? Would you separate it maybe, or you think that it's fine as is?
This is something I guess we never thought about. This could be interesting, but of course it will be asking for twice more work. Um, and yeah, I guess also this is interesting to have the same track because yeah, you just doing the cup of the day, and then you can hunt the same track if you like it. But yeah, we could have maybe several track of the day. It could be something, but would it be that prestigious if you just multiply the number of track of the day? Track of the day is this is the track of the day. Yeah, it's featured. This is this one. I guess it's something also to keep in mind. But yeah, this is an interesting idea, Juice.
There is this. It comes from the fact that I heard a lot from time attack players that they would really appreciate
Okay.
harder tracks for track of the day. So that's the roots of these questions, probably. Okay, yeah, thank you. And another question, probably more fun. How do you pick tracks for the April 1st, or basically for the first of the month track of the day? How do you pick them?
Of course, we barely have very special LOL tracks or very special tracks, top-rated tracks in the map review, but every time I try to find some very different tracks in the review, and when I see one, I just try it, and if it works to be a track of the day, I just keep it for the upcoming months. But when I just don't have any first map of the month, Mania Exchange is my best friend.
Well, I've just seen something great written by Lakadal in chat. He said, could also introduce weekly hunts or something like that with endurance tracks. This would solve three problems at the same time. It would solve the time attack hunters getting what they want. It would solve map discoverability, maybe in the main menu. And it would give more endurance tracks, which will probably speak to you, Tona.
Go. Yeah, this
Yeah.
this is really interesting. But of course, it will be. This is just not something you can say. Okay, we just had something. If we had something like that, this asks for some development because you need to add a new button in the UI. You need to rework this UI. You need to think about how this new activity can be added in the prestige skins, for example. But yeah, these are some things interesting. I guess there are many good ideas to take, and of course, as I said a bit earlier, all feedbacks are always welcome, and this is something we can discuss internally then. But yeah, this is indeed what I understand from track builders is, and say me if I'm wrong, but I guess I'm right. There is a frustration for to just don't be able to have all the good tracks featured as track of the day, but yeah, we need to find maybe some new activities. Something I wanted to put in place, and this is always something I want to put in place, but to give maybe more visibility in arcade channels, which are much played by free players. So there is that. Also, maybe some campaigns to in Nadeo we can quite easily push a campaign. So maybe we just need to find some new activities and new things to allow players and map builders to have more access to visibility.
Yep. That sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think it's really exciting to see what we might see in terms of the future of map review and the future of Track of the Day and other potential competitions. We all know that these are probably things that are not in the near future, but things that we can look forward to at some point. I'm sure there are many other questions that ourselves or the chat has for Tona. And remember, we are going to do a live Q&A, getting answers from the chat and other questions. So if you have another question that we didn't get to in this initial interview segment, go ahead and drop it in the chat now, or if you think about it in between now and when we start the Q&A in just a short while, and we'll get to it then. But from here, we're going to move on to a little bit of mapping news. So the first thing that I had queued up, that we already talked a little bit about, so I'm not going to spend too much time on, is the documentation. So like Tona said, this has been a thing for a while, but recently started to become more active. And it's going to be something that's going to grow into a more comprehensive coverage for Trackmania. So it's something that's been lacking for quite some time, and I think will be really helpful for a lot of people in terms of both from the development side, from the player side, from the mapping side, in terms of having more cohesive information about Trackmania, how it works. And I think will be really, really good for newcomers to the game who are trying to understand the skill ceiling and all the vast mechanics of Trackmania. So really excited to see how this develops over time. If you want to see it in its current state, go check it out. It's live public on the GitHub of Nadeo. It's github.com/Nadeo/Trackmania Doc.
Yeah, and if I can just add something about that, this is totally open source. So if you guys are expert on something or just want to share any article you want, you can go. It will be reviewed. It will be reviewed by me. There is 100% chance to be reviewed. So this is much easier than map review.
No stars required. Okay.
No, but yeah, if you want to take part to that, it will be really much appreciated, and it's we just want to have a great documentation. And there are many things to be shared. For example, what I want to share also in this documentation, Joyce, this is for you. For example, are all the community tools. So, for example, there might be something on Blender Mania here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
could be possible.
I will talk with Skyslide. Yeah, and we may include. I mean, yeah, we have some documentation. We probably should do a pull request and add it to the doc. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, this is. I guess it could be nice to just have a website. So everything is. So this is a GitHub, but on doc.trackmania.com, this is the website, which is way cleaner than this GitHub.
You said doc.trackmania.
Doc.
Yeah, it's doc.trackmania.com. I'll send it to the chat.
Yeah, the page could be better, but then you have everything here.
Cool.
But yeah, this is totally open source. So if you want to improve different things, if you want to add articles, go ahead. It will be really much appreciated, and make the documentation great.
Awesome. Well, really cool stuff. Like Tona said, doc.trackmania.com, or if you're looking to contribute, the GitHub is open source. Next little bit of Trackmania news, something that was very recently announced. I'll let Whiskey take it away from here.
Right. So, yeah, we have been cooking this for quite a while. We're hosting a LAN event in the Netherlands called Racer Summit, which is quite ironic because, well, we don't really have any summits in the Netherlands. Anyways, we thought it was a cool name, and yeah, we decided to name it that. So yeah, it will be a LAN in the Netherlands, and this has led off of Gamax, which you might have heard of. We had 2 Gamax editions already, and yeah, we've experienced an increasing amount of interest for the LAN. And last edition, we even got some international players visiting and playing in the LAN, which was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, we decided we wanted to actually go for something a bit bigger, involving sponsors, even Nadeo.
I'm your guy, so
Yeah. We're in contact with all sorts of people right now, and yeah, it's gonna be great, that's for sure. It's the 29th and the 30th of July in Scheveningen, the Netherlands. I myself am an admin and made the map request for it. This is probably the most appealing to the people listening over here. So I think Juice sent the map request link. If you want to take a look at that, then definitely go for it. And with your guys' effort, this should be amazing.
Yep. So like Whiskey said, this is a map request for this event to see some of the best players at this event playing this live at this LAN. All the requirements are here. Go take a look at the link that was dropped in chat and make a map for it. Or if you're around the area, go show up. It's going to be a cool event.
I might find an old map in my unfinished
folder.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There is also another LAN which is coming in France. The map request was announced 2 or 3 days ago, I guess.
Oh.
The event wasn't announced yet, I guess. But yeah, there will be quite a big event. I don't know if the dates were announced or not, but I'm not sure, so I won't leak it. So, but yeah, this is also another map request if you want to do some competitive mapping.
Next episode of Author Time Podcast, French Trackmania. No, I think I got the link here somewhere. I can share it in the chat as well. So I will do that.
Just another little piece, and this isn't necessarily news, and this is going to become outdated very soon with the advanced editor being available for free, reportedly, with console release. But somebody on Reddit also discovered that you can currently gain access to the advanced editor without the normal access to get into the advanced editor. Just go to your system settings and turn on Enable Track Editor Quick Start and set the difficulty to Advanced. And then when you open your editor with Quick Start enabled, you will be in the Advanced Editor. So
right. Also, just quickly explaining an exploit in front of another employee. Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Trial.
This is going to be outdated probably pretty soon. So
I need to go. I will do a call.
Yeah, but yeah. So if you're mapping and you want to be in the advanced editor, that's one way to do it. The other thing, very recent news. In fact, this came about 17 minutes before we started. But the first stage, of week 1 stage for the EMC S4 groups was announced. 3 maps. In this video, we've got the 3 maps coming in that were accepted were Jabibo's and Mephisto's Trico map. Blackjack, which was made by Navi, featuring our very own whiskey, posted up, and
go.
Timberland Ruins, which is Ski Freak featuring Westcomb. So these are some really cool competitive maps built for EMC, another prestigious competition. So the quality bar is very high, and these maps do not disappoint. So if you want to check out all three of these maps, they are really sick. So that's Trico, Blackjack, and Timberland Ruins. Go check them out. All right, from there, aside from those maps that we did mention related to some of the news, we do have a couple maps that we just wanted to highlight independently that came out in the last couple weeks and are some pretty cool maps. So we're going to start with Void Walk. This was a map that came out right at the end of April from the man himself, Ski Freak. Really, really interesting FS map, kind of following this trend we're seeing a little bit more recently with these minimalist styles, but very intentional minimalist styles. And this map, he describes it as a roller coaster, and it definitely is one. There are no shortage of creative and interesting turnovers that probably for most people will take a few tries to figure out. But once you figure them out, they are incredibly satisfying, and this is just a really, really cool and clean FS map from Ski Freak. So if you want to check it out, the Void Walk.
A bit earlier, you asked me who maybe the best mappers or who inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
Ski Freak. I'm not a full speed player, and not a full speed builder, but I'm really amazed by what he's doing in full speed. This is really truly amazing, and I just want to say to him, congrats for what he's building. This is so amazing to watch.
It is crazy. I'm a huge fan myself as well, and looks like Ski Freak has finally found his own scenery style as well after many years of stealing other people's scenery. It's this is really great to look at and to play as well, for sure.
So, all great stuff here from Ski Freak. Go check it out. Void Walk on TMX. Another map kind of tied to Ski Freak that we wanted to point out. There's a couple maps being submitted for the Ski Freak reuse mapping competition, and we had highlighted at least one of these maps before. But another map was released this time by Neuro, and this is just a really cool map. So for those who didn't see the last episode or any of the other maps where we talked about Ski Freak's reuse competition, but this is essentially a mapping competition that I believe is still live, right? Or has
No, this has
It's finished.
It just finished.
Yep.
Okay, it just
Yeah.
finished. But this is a competition in which the challenge was to build a route that you drove normally through the route, and then by means of either a multi-lap block or some other creative solution, find a way to force the player to go back through the same route, through all the checkpoints in the opposite direction. And this proved to be a really interesting challenge that a lot of people approached in a lot of different ways. And this map here by Neuro is no different. Just a really clean, executed, mixed, somewhat transitional, competitive style map. Just really, really clean, smooth stuff here from Neuro. Just an awesome map overall. So
Ski Freak just did today. He released a video with the top 5 tracks of this competition plus his tracks. This was really, really interesting to see. A lot of creativity. I would have loved to enter a track in this project, but no, just didn't have enough time to do it. But yeah, congrats to Ski Freak for this mapping competition. This is really nice to see some mapping competitions around the Trackmania scene.
This might be a good time to note as well then that the next mapping competition he already announced.
Yeah.
Seems like he's doing what Akrabu would call empty ski, where the next theme will be mini trial. So I've sent the map back if you want to take a look at that. That's very cool.
cool stuff. Well, yeah, super. I think all the maps that were submitted for this, whether it won or not, these were really cool to see, all the different approaches people took to this challenge. And huge shout out again to Ski for organizing this whole competition. It's a cool idea, and really kind of push people to see what they could accomplish with this concept. So go check out the maps, and like Whiskey mentioned, go ahead and check out the new MT Ski map request / competition that's coming out. Another map that came out recently, tail end of April, was this color experiment map by Orgo, which is kind of a little pathfinding RPG-ish platformy map, which utilized some interesting 3D triangles usage to create some kind of platformy esque optical illusions and such. So just a kind of a unique Trackmania experience, not particularly difficult or overly try-hard or competitive in any way. Just a cool concept map, and I would encourage anybody who wants to just see something a little new and different to go check it out. Another map we had here that we wanted to mention was Nika by Spec. It's also coming out the tail end of April. Just a really cool dirt map with some just really great execution. Lots of cool transitions. I know. I just saw the comment from Whiskey, transitions on the 2 steel list. So just great execution. I know he had said before that this is like pretty much the most proud map he's had. Most proud of map that he's been. So I think you could really see that. It's really evident in this map. So go check it out. A map by Spec called Nika. And then finally on the list of maps we wanted to highlight here, this was not planned to be self-promo from Whiskey, but because he is here, I can let him talk a little bit about this one. If he
Oh, okay. This is
Just
a tech map. No, this is a tech map. I don't know. I just wanted to build a tech map that isn't too difficult. I made a GPS like you might have seen before. It's like a special tutorial that goes into slow motion and gives some tips with 3D triangles. So that might be cool for beginners, maybe.
Yeah.
At least that's what Map Review told me so far. But
I understand the message.
Wink, wink, Tona, maybe.
I think tutorials are a piece of polish that is always welcome. I don't think anybody complains. People have lots of interesting takes in Trackmania, but I'd say for the most part, nobody complains about there being a tutorial in a Trackmania map, and I think it's something that we might even continue to see. And this is no different. Just a really solid tech map with really great, solid, simple, effective scenery from Whiskey, and a tutorial if you get lost or want a little helping hand. So go check it out. See you in June, but you can play it in May. So
I'm sorry, but still, best educational map in Trackmania is Snake by Deadfish and Ellipse.
Yeah. I think the other day I saw the tweet for the track of the day, and it had like the snake emojis in it, and I immediately was like, snake map got track of the day, and then I was like, oh no, it didn't. The most educational map, Snake by Deadfish and Ellipse. Go check that one out too.
Amazing.
Solid map. Okay, well, from here we're gonna actually transition into just a couple item sets that came out in the last couple weeks. The first one that I wanted to bring up was this item set, Colorable Bars. This is by Voltis NL. So this are kind of the similarly styled to the vanilla bars and like trims that you might see kind of for these platform support components or on the outsides. But these are colorable, as the vanilla ones are not. So just kind of a nice tool that you can use for vanilla plus style scenery or otherwise. Let's go check this set out. Colorable Bars by Voltis NL. There's also these sets that were dropped recently by Pearly the Budgie. Might be butchering that name, but it's kind of an interesting set. So these are called Fast Magnets. So there's one for road, platform, dirt, sausage, and penalty. And he describes it as fast magnets. These blocks give car fast acceleration while keeping some of the magnet's physics. So it's kind of, I guess, built around higher speed or full speed, upside down, sideways building. Kind of an interesting concept. I did go ahead and play around with it a little. Oh yeah. Ignore the fact that I'm in this map.
What the?
My FPS is slightly low, but I can kind of just place them down so you kind of get a sense of this. This is just the normal. There's no boosters going on here. This is just the normal magnet surface. And if I jump in,
Well, it's not even. It's no. It's road.
Yeah.
No, not road. How do you call it? Axle magnet.
Yeah.
Something like this. It's very interesting surface. I think it was used in previous Trackmania only in Trackmania Canyon for pipes or like for tubes. And yeah, that's actually a very interesting one because it gives you a magnet physics, but also it accelerates you. Like you accelerate faster without any
That looks
boosters.
so weird.
yeah,
It is. It feels super weird in 2020. I mean, in Stadium in general.
Damn.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Especially, I mean, like you said, it is built more for, like full speed. They're like faster speed sections. But you know, it's a pretty comprehensive set. So you have turns and stuff, and you just get going so fast, as well.
It can work really interesting for something like when you drive wall ride up or something like that, because you won't lose so much speed as you lose on
That's
normal
true.
magnet.
Yeah, counteracting the gravity, so to speak, like
Yep.
you said. Yeah. So some really interesting potential for these sets. Like I said, this is pretty comprehensive. I haven't checked out all of these yet, but he has one for magnet road, for platform, dirt, sausage, and penalty platforms. So yeah, go check it out. These are fast magnet sets by Pearly the Budgie.
Recently, also, I just sorry, just
Go ahead. Yeah.
saying a small word, but I'm going on item exchange like several times a week, and I just tried the. I guess it was ASCII who did the macroblock set, which is truly amazing. I tried it a bit on a test track. And it was really amazing. I can't wait to use it, and I hope to see more macroblocks sets. This is really something powerful, I guess. Maybe one day we will see some macroblocks with the newest items, light items, to do some sculpture or so. But yeah, I just wanted to say to him, congrats for this macroblock set, which is truly amazing.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool set. I know it's something that ASCII is pretty passionate about, and he is continuing to work on, and I'm sure he is thinking about future iterations and updates to the set as we go and as more people use it, to kind of keep it fresh and evolve in that way. Just a really cool set. I know we've covered it on the podcast before, but if anybody hasn't seen it already, go check it out. ASCII macroblock set. He's also in chat right now for any live viewers that have any questions for him.
So congrats.
Or just wanted to ask him about anything related to that set. He is there as well.
No, I guess it's really, really, really great. And for people who are mostly focused on routes, this is something very, very, very interesting and time saver, and also which might people to have a better scenery, because doing a scenery is something very time consuming and which needs a lot of time really, and motivation, and some people just are kinda annoyed to build some scenery. So yeah, it really helps, and yeah, for sure I will use it.
That fish must be super happy.
I am too.
Yeah, I think a lot of us root mapper Andes are very happy, myself included. But yeah, so that was it as far as the last 2 weeks of item sets that we wanted to highlight. From here, like I mentioned before, we're not going to do the Rising Star segment this episode. That will be returning next episode, as we're kind of keeping that moving forward as a monthly thing. So from here, we are going to go right into the Q&A. So like I said, if you have any questions that haven't been answered already, you can ask them now. We also have a couple questions, a handful of questions that were saved up from before that we're going to be taking a look at as well. I guess, does anybody want to start? We have a couple in here.
I can start quickly.
Yeah.
One question Andrew asked me earlier to ask you, actually, Tona. How do you think tech has and will have a place in TM20, given that with console you'll have like the input delay issue, right? That's a thing that has been brought up recently. How do you think this will impact that style?
Tech always was something much appreciated and much played. Yeah, of course, tech isn't the main style now on Trackmania. It has changed to the mixed style. But I think that tech will always be a thing, and tech will continue to evolve in the future. I remember at the very early stage of the custom blocks, the oldest tech players was like, oh, no, never, we never need to use these blocks extra. And now you just can see that there are many custom blocks. I guess tech will always be a thing. There always be tech enthusiasts, and it will continue to be something for sure. It will evolve, but I don't think the console will change anything to the tech destiny.
That's good to hear.
From my experience coming over from Trials, because there was a similar situation in terms of a discrepancy in input delay between PC and console versions, that was definitely a concern, and people that were moving over felt it. But over time, the highest skill ceiling of players leveled out because people get used to it and people are able to work around it. And I think, from my opinion, I feel like I would expect to see a similar thing within Trackmania. We have another question from Origo. So I know you talked about how, like, the specific algorithm within map review and how that's curated in terms of how a rating affects what gets seen, and how you don't want to necessarily divulge all of that. But something that we do have control over more is in terms of how many times we're submitting a map in order to generate a certain number of ratings. So is there anything you could say in terms of how the amount of votes factor into that decision, or how a map is reviewed?
The more votes, if I don't know the exact formula. I've heard it a long time ago, but as far as I remember, if two maps have I don't know, four star average rating, if a track have 5 votes and another one have 50 votes, the final score will be way higher in the track which have more votes, but it doesn't say that. Of course, a 3 stars track with 300 votes will not have a better score than a 4.5 map with 12 votes. So yeah, this is, of course, it has an effect on the final score, but it's not like it will change everything. I mean.
Right, so when Orgok says some people say you need 50 votes, you don't need 50 votes. Like,
No.
if you have a good rating and 30 votes, this might be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Right.
of course, but nowadays there are many tracks with 4.2, 4.3. So the more good votes you have, the better, the higher chances are to be in the top tracks. But it's the average rating is much more important than the number of votes.
But we also got a problem with trolls, right? I mean, at least I heard recently and experienced it once myself, but there was only one guy who once started me. But I heard that it can be a situation when you join a map review and there is like 5 people trolling every track and just one starring everything. And like 5 1 stars can be really huge problem. If you even have like 25 stars and 5 1 stars, this will just eliminate your 5 stars. So what would you suggest on what we should do in this case? Just report these people somehow, or
the fact is, it's kind of hard to report them because you don't know what they vote. But of course, if you see any toxic player who say, "Okay, I'm going to troll every single map," you still can report him, for example, and then on our end we can maybe check if it was really the case, and if this is the case, there might be some consequences to that, of course. So doing troll votes and saying to people, "Okay, I will just don't vote you every time." This is like a bit toxic, of course. So it can be punished.
I actually had this afternoon, and this led me to think that might it be, I don't know, like this is a suggestion, right? But what if you restrict the access to the map review server in terms of like you need to get at least silver 1 in trophy ranks before you can vote? Because I think a lot of people who launch the game for the first time, they look around, right, and they see track review and they're like, oh, that's pretty nice. And then coming from Call of Duty, they don't expect maybe our like environment, and they might say, oh, I hate it, I'll vote 1 star. Maybe upgrading the minimal requirements of trophies would prevent something like this.
I don't think it will be a good idea because the main thing is to open it to a casual player too. If the player want to vote, he can do it. They can do it, but I don't think you need to be a good player to be able to don't be a troll. That's the issue is just to be a troll. But we need to find a way to avoid this bad behavior. But this isn't, once again, not something quite easy to find, and this is definitely something we need to improve in the future. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Got another question here from Stratorino. So you mentioned that Dirt is the most represented map track of the day submission type of candidates that you end up seeing. What would you say is one of the most least represented styles?
In the top tracks, you mean?
Yeah.
Of course, you, for example, never see an endurance track because you can't rate in 3 minutes 20-minute long tracks. This is quite logical. But things we don't see a lot, but which could be interesting. Of course, there is ice, which is the ratings on ice maps is lower than dirt or grass, for example. This is something really hard to build to make it enjoyable for casual player. But once again, we need to think to casual players. This is we can't just put a very hard ice track every week. Maybe this is something hard to build, of course, and I think in the time it will be easier for player to understand ice and to understand how to build quite easy ice tracks. So ice, yeah, bobsleigh too, which is kind of ice too. But something I don't see a lot, because of course this is really hard also to make it enjoyable for casual players, is like, for example, mini RPG tracks. This is something I love to see in TOTD, but yeah, this is a real a real uh, a real challenge to build an RPG track, a mini RPG track, which is not that frustrating for casual players, to make it like really clear to know the path, to make it fun. Even if it's hard, it's okay for a track to be hard, but the difficulty must be fun, even for the weakest players. So yeah, this is a style which is, in my opinion, underrepresented in Track of the Day, and I would love to see more mini RPG tracks. I can spoil, there is a good mini RPG track soon. Spoilers.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
That sounds sick.
And you,
Can't
you
wait.
guys, your turn. Go build mini RPG if you want an easy TOTD pick. Build a good one, and you will be a track of the day mapper.
We have another, and again, remember, if you haven't dropped a question in the chat, feel free to do so now. But we have another question from Nolafus. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. But he's just asking, where is the best place to submit feedback and suggestions in terms of just any Nadeo or track of the day or other types of feedback?
This is something we are currently reworking totally, because the forums name known as discussions for one year or something like that just closed. So Discord will be the new place. So the official Trackmania Discord will be the new place. This is something maybe we need to set with admins, Discord admins like Game, like to Infinite, extra. But I don't know if there is a place at this time on this Discord. We'll check now, but this is something really important in my opinion. So the official Trackmania Discord will be the place. If there isn't any feedback channels to Nadeo, I will ask to do one, because this is something to have. And as I said earlier, any feedbacks are always welcome. Of course, feedbacks with arguments and something clearly explained will help us a lot more, because it can give us a new perspective. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, this is always good to have new opinions on everything, basically.
Huh. So just to make this perfectly clear, so you're telling me that emailing Nadeo with just all caps "fix your game" isn't going to affect anything?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I won't say you to try it, because it will annoy me, but it will not help a lot, I guess.
Of course. Another question. What would you say is the biggest misconception that most people have about the map review process or TOTD in general that you see people saying and they get it wrong?
What do you understand? What do you mean by misconception?
Like they think something about how the track of the day process works, and you read it and you go, "Oh, that's just not true at all." Like, what would you say is the biggest thing people get wrong, or that they have the wrong idea about the map review process?
Joker. No, well, it's already something I said, but I understand and the frustration. I understand this frustration from many talented and hardcore track builders. This is something I totally understand. But the answer is not to build something I read it a lot was we just need to have an expert team to test the tracks, and Nadio just you just need to trust the expert track builders. This is something we need that's true. We need to hear them more, but I'm not sure that expert track builders will understand all the I don't know how can I constraint, is it a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, the constraint for a track of the day. As I said, a track of the day must be playable and enjoyable by casual players, and most of the Cup of the Day players are casual players. This is something very important to keep in mind. Mm, I heard someone also who told me, yeah, we just need to split the map reviews. Yeah, this would be fantastic, of course, but there are once again an issue. This is the amount of players.
Right.
But yeah, there are always constraints, which makes things always harder than what you can think.
Right. That definitely makes sense. We've got another
I
question. Oh,
Yeah, I do have one question. I mean, the question even comes from Kras, but I will add something from my side to it as well. So Kras is asking, like, how does it work for Nadeo in general? And on top of it, I would also ask, did something change in your view of the game and how you basically play the game when you started working on Nadeo?
Of course, yeah. On my personal time, I just barely played Trackmania. For example, when I saw the ski mapping competition, I was like, I want to do one, but I just didn't have time. And when you work the 8 hour day on Trackmania, the evening when you come home, I just will not launch Trackmania. um, but yeah, so I don't play Trackmania a lot on my free time now, but of course, this is always something I love. Trackmania at the game. Uh, Working in Nadeo is so nice. Of course, Trackmania is clearly part of my life. I began to play Trackmania in 2008, 2009. So I spent most of my life knowing Trackmania than not knowing Trackmania. Like it's
Yeah.
been like 14 years. 14 years on no Trackmania, and I'm like 27. So yeah, Trackmania has a special place in my heart, in my life. So working in Nadeo is great because I'm so happy to be able to work on a game I love. And something of course I have in mind is like the community is so great. I'm so happy to be able to work with the community on different projects. You will see some of them soon, but I can't say anything. But soon. Um, but yeah, this is a very talented community, and what I love in this game is the fact that there are many different talents. for example, Joyce, who is here, who is doing so many things, and it was for me a real pleasure to be able to meet the Trackmania community. This is something I will do more frequently. Didn't have much time in the last days, weeks, months, but I will continue that, and there are many great people to meet and to hear.
Well, it's so great to see you just so active in the community and still having so much love for the game, even after all this time. And we're very blessed and very glad that you haven't learned to hate Trackmania after now it becoming your full-time job. So we really appreciate that, and we appreciate everything you do for the community. And we still look forward. I know you don't play as much in your free time, but every time we do see new maps coming from you, it's always a treat. It's always a pleasure. Just once again, wanted to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking with us about everything related to your career and map review and going through the gauntlet, as it were. Really appreciate it. To any viewers that are watching, if you haven't followed the Trackmania Mappers Assembly Twitch account, then go ahead and follow us right here. We do this every 2 weeks. And if you haven't joined the TMA Discord, go ahead and do that below. And of course, if you are not following Tona on his socials and his TMX page, go do that. Come on, just go favorite him. Go favorite his TMX. Go follow him on Twitter. See what he's up to and what he's got going on. But other than that, we're going to wrap up this episode here. Thank you all so much for joining us live. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Come on. We got to bump those numbers up a little bit. We really appreciate everybody coming out and watching. And once again, thank you so much, Tona, for joining us.
Thank you for your time. I'm quite sad to don't have the console when answer question. I might answer to you if you want, but no question, so no answer. Okay. See you then.
Console when, Tona?
This is too late. This is the end of the episode, I guess.
Unlucky.
I'm very sorry about that. But
Well, yeah, you know, when the console releases, we'll be telling you about it here on the Trackmania Mappers Assembly Author Time podcast. Really appreciate it. And you guys all have a great rest of your afternoon or evening, wherever you're at. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
thank you for your time.